Good morning, Rambo and Frens. I gotta get used to not saying the other name since we started on the new platform. But welcome everybody. I am super excited. Happy, what is it? Thursday? Sure hope I'm right this time. Happy Thursday. I think you guys are in for quite a treat this morning. I gotta be honest, one of my really good buddies called me last night and he was like, "Hey, you guys, do you need a show? Because I'd love to hang out." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to hang out. Are you kidding me? I screwed up yesterday and double booked because I had my days all mixed up working night shift." So I am super excited. Let me just bring him on first. We'll say hi one at a time since I jumbled that up yesterday. What's going on there, Beer at the Parade?
I thought you said a good friend called you last night. Who was that?
Here we go already. We didn't even get past hello, and you're busting my balls.
I was busting my own, to be honest with you.
Nah, bro. The good friend. That's about as simple as I can put it. I think you're awesome. I look up to you tremendously. So thank you.
That's a two-way street, young man.
All right, let's say hi. Vigilant, what's going on, bro?
Hello, my friend.
My man, I'm happy for you to be here. Me and Vigilant been hanging out for like 2 hours. So
me and Vigilant been hanging out for 46 years.
I'm trying to catch up. All right, we got one more today, and I'm super excited about it. This dude's got quite a story. Yale PHD, what's going on, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm absolutely honored to have you. You are one of 5 people that I want to give a shout out right off the bat in the beginning of this show. I was completely honored yesterday on Rambo and Frens episode number 1 for anyone to support the show with what Rumble calls as a red castle. So that what that is a monthly supporter, and you were one of those people. So I want to first and foremost say thank you to you, and I want to give those other people a shout out. So thank you, bro.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think you definitely have a lot of support. You know, a lot of us don't have a lot of extra money. $5 a month or so is well worth it. And I think, you're gathering so many great people, and it just keeps building, and the energy just keeps getting better and better, which is hard to believe because it's always been great. So that was a no-brainer. Plus, maybe it helped, get me on the show a little bit here. So
this is actually something, Joe, I've been wanting to share this idea. For those of you who canceled your cable like I did, take that money and divvy it up and buy subscriptions to people that you are now that you're no longer watching the mainstream media. Support the people who are doing good things like Joe is. And that's only fair, I think.
I will tell you, I take some of that money and I go right back out and I do the same. So I support the shows and the guys that are doing, the stuff that I look up to out there, the guys that I think are working hard in the movement. I'm sorry, Yale, did I cut you off?
No, I think that's a good point. I just thought about what Scott was saying. And one of the first things I did was get rid of, back in the day, my, cable subscriptions, which start just becoming crazy amounts of money, and just sort of paying a few bucks here and there for things I want to see. So this is what I find myself, watching and looking at these days and tuning into. So for $5, I mean, it's obviously it's not required, but for $5 a month, it's a no-brainer. This is where people should be tuning in. Places like this.
Well, let me finish saying thank you to the rest of them because somebody else just joined. So Sherry Weeks 948 just did the same thing today. Thank you so very much. And yesterday I wrote these down. I tried to go back and Rumble and it wouldn't tell me. So I watched the whole episode to make sure I had everybody right. Sharon Amex, who actually won coffee and is not allowing me to send it to him. So I'll tell you what, Amex, for supporting the show and not taking your coffee, we're going to give a bag away today. So, Tiffany Regato and 17 Emerald Roses. All of you guys are in the new Red Castle crew here on Rambo and Frens, and I am super stoked about that. And Gloria, I did talk to you on DMs. Please finish looking at the website, and I will make sure that you get your coffee. Speaking of which, can we get the sponsors out of the way quick if you guys don't mind?
Sure.
That coffee that I'm talking about is right here. So this is Covfefe.coffee. I will put the link for me in the chat, but you're also looking at somebody else sitting here that has their own. Look, first one.
Do you know why I went with the heavy dark roast?
No, go
Because
ahead.
I want people to drink my coffee the morning after they've had one too many beers at the parade. It'll wake you right back up.
My man, there's so many good ideas. The awakened one, I love that. Right. So you got everybody in here, Enoch and Pepe Deluxe, myself, Brainstorm. There's Defender of the Republic, Brenda, who is such a huge help. I absolutely adore her. Swampy, Kate's, Boone Cutler. Look at this. We got, I mean, there's everybody right down the line. Oh, there's, I didn't even realize Julian's Rum was on here until recently.
But whoever came up with grounds for impeachment, I got to tip my hat to that name. Also, 10% of all profits is going to the J6 prisoners, just so you guys know. There's a good cause behind this. So
I got to be honest. My favorite part about this is having something that represents what I'm doing next to all these amazing people.
Oh, there's the Defender of the Republic is one of my favorite human beings on the planet.
Yeah, she rules. Patriot AU. There's tons of great people. Everybody on here is awesome. So that's it. I'll drop the link in the chat. So if you want to support us, it's a great way to support the movement. Vote with your dollar bills.
By the way, I had tipped to 8-Track. I'm going to be doing a show with him next week. He built this site from scratch, and he's one who has built my site at magazine scene.us. And I'll be doing a show so people can understand how great his services are and how good he is at what he does. He's a great patriot and very skilled at what he does.
He's absolutely on the list of people. If I could have everybody on the first day, I would, but he's absolutely on the list. I can't wait to have him on. So obviously, I'm always going to go and try to support Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's done nothing but help this movement. He's gotten a bad rap. He's put his name on the line, and his products are fire. So the stuff that I do have from Mike, there isn't one of them that I don't absolutely love. And he was so kind as to support this show right off the bat, being that we separated with Brainstorm. I still highly support Brainstorm, and I'm super grateful that Mike gave us one over here as well. So thank you to Mike. Support him, support the show. All right. Back to how you guys doing. I have some conversation starters here. I wanted to do this first, and then we'll just kind of let the conversation go where it goes. When you called me last night, Beer, I instantly thought of these two, Yale and Vigilant, because of the time that we've had to hang out. I think the three of you get along really well, and I was super excited to be able to be a part of hanging out with the three of you. So, of course, I'm still me. So I was going to throw up a clip or two this is what I think I'm going to do in the beginning of the show from now on, is show one of these clips. I've archived like a couple thousand of them at this point, I think. So I'm just picking ones at random and then kind of asking you guys what you think, and then we'll go from there. So if you don't mind, I want to start with two back-to-back ones. Oop, hold on, Trump. Wait till I tell you. All right, here we go. Check this out.
This is many years now. When should we expect a Bush 1 document investigation? Yeah, it's a long time. And how about a Bush 2 document investigation? And when is Bill Clinton investigation starting? And are they beginning to look at Obama warehouse investigation? When is that, next week or this week? How about this week? There's definitely no doubt that Hillary should have perhaps been charged. They decided not to even think about it. The document hoax is just that. It's a hoax and a charade, and I'm being unjustly, illegally, and unconstitutionally targeted. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. You know that? And Ray Chappaqua. Only a Hispanic could say that. Who said that? Stand up, sir. Ray Chappaqua. That's a very interesting idea. But because they know we're right, and we will win, and we will continue to win at every level, and that's what we've been doing. But I wanted to just give that as a little brief statement. When you think of the unfair table setting, when you think of how unfairly we've been treated, we as a group have been treated, it's just terrible. And we have to bring our country back. We have to stop the weaponization, because the people of our country are hurt, they're angry, and they're sad. Our country is a very sad country right now. They've seen what's happened in 2 years. I say, and I say it quite often, no president, you could add 5 of them together, take our 5 worst. They haven't done damage to this country like has been done in the last 2 years. We got crazy people like Shifty Schiff and Hillary and all of these people. These people, they don't want to talk about greatness for our country. All they want to do is investigate everybody, but they are the ones that are really under investigation. I also want to thank about greatness.
All right. So let's just start. Scott, do you want to go first? Do you have any thoughts on those 2 clips?
I have a couple thoughts. One is just listen to how he speaks and watch his demeanor. He knows exactly what's coming. I have never seen Trump in 8 years look nervous about anything. And the other thing is that this theory I've been working on, and I can't poke a hole in it, is I think everything we're watching are little sound bites that will someday be spliced together, like the movie Memento that plays backwards. I think that everything Trump and the good guys have been doing are building a story in little tiny breadcrumb slices that when pieced back together and interwoven will tell an irrefutable movie.
Can I tell you what we should name it? I already did.
Sure.
Hindsight is 2020, the stolen election. 2020 being a reference to the year the election was stolen in front of everybody's face.
Oh, that is clever.
Brilliant, right?
Yeah. Where did you buy that one?
I didn't. I thought of it. I used that line in all my posts. So
That was
like,
actually very clever play on words. I tip my
Right.
hat to you.
Yeah, my man. All right, Vigilant. We'll get right around the horn. What are you thinking, buddy?
Well, I wanted, as you and I had conversation previously.
Dude, you're super quiet. Can you get
I am. All right. Am I good now?
Eh,
The closer
good
you
now?
get to the mic.
I got my face right up to the mic.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
as we were talking earlier today, before the show, I want to say that Trump has consistently come closer and closer to unveiling the plausible deniability of his involvement in a white hat operation. And I think that the more blatant he gets, and the more blatant that the ridiculousness of the fake Biden administration, whatever this is, I think what we end up seeing here is that it now becomes not an issue of whether or not Trump is involved in something that is a pause. The question is, when is the pause going to come to its conclusion? And I think everybody's going down the road of what's going on with all these little details like the TikTok thing and everything else that we see happening. So what we're asking ourselves is, what is this leading up to? And is it a question of, does Biden actually make it to an election? Do we as a country make it to an election in November? What will happen between now and November? I think that's where we're at. And Trump has clearly positioned himself as a person that's communicating to us about an operation. There's no question. So, and that means including normies. You can't deny it. So that was it.
Absolutely becoming pretty undeniable. Yeah. What do you got to say, buddy?
I agree with the experts here. But I think, again, there's a whole spectrum of people who hopefully are hearing this. And for some like us, we're taking it and looking at it a different way because we already believe, we already see it happening. When you get into, the normies and things like that, it's kind of like, I think a lot of conspiracy theories, you may be put off by it at first or dismiss it, but you get the breadcrumbs. And I think people are still hearing it. And for those who finally come around and start to say, hey, maybe there's some validity to some of these things, they've heard it and it's there. So they do go back and revisit it. And I think, that's kind of how I've evolved here too, is hearing people talk about the same things over and over again, obviously using my discernment and whatnot. But once that switch hits and I'm in, which has been for quite some time now, you look at everything a completely different way. So once again, it's bringing different value to different people, but it's desensitizing you to that freaking fishtail smack in the face when it finally hits you that it's real, that it's like, you know what? I've been hearing this sort of with like 9/11, for example. I was dismiss it as like, oh, this guy's nuts at first back in the day. But when I go back and revisit it, I'm thinking of all the facts and things people presented, and it just makes me that much more of a believer. So
you realize you came this close to saying fish slap, right?
What did I say?
You said a fishtail smack in the face, or you were close. And I know you're going to sneak in angel poop later as a hat tip to a Smart Paul and JF Anon.
I love them.
They're the best.
For those of you who want to follow great accounts, it's at Sapioplex, Sapioplex. That's a guy I nicknamed Smart Paul for an obvious reason. And the other one is either going to be at JF Anon, one word, or JF_Anon. You're going to want to follow those two accounts. And of course, Defender of the Republic. Those three are amazing accounts.
Well, if you watch the show, you're going to see for sure JF Anon and Sapioplex here very shortly. And I think I'm cheating just a little bit because I know what clip I'm going to play next when I say this. But when Donald Trump talks about these people, they're the ones that are really under investigation, or when should we start the Clinton investigation, or maybe next week, right? When he says these things, the way I use those comments is to kind of fill in the question that I think that most people in this movement have, which is, if we are watching some level of a PSYOP or military operation or 5D chess, whatever it is you might want to call what's going on right now, why is it taking so long? Right. So tons and tons. I get that question probably more than anything else. How, if Trump's still in control, then why is the country burning down? Why are they allowing it to happen?
Because for every one of you, there's 5 more who are still in the process of waking up, and we can't release the hounds until we reach critical mass.
Well, I think the military civilian alliance part of one of my favorite drops is it points directly at that. We always get told the side of this, which is, the Bolshevik Revolution and Operation Trust. It's the same thing as the drops. I would argue it's exactly the opposite, that what's going on right now is to weaponize the people, and so that we stand up and do something to take this country back. And there's more, in my opinion. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but there's more, in my opinion, than just a great awakening process, potentially, because let me not say because. What I think is, Donald Trump told us multiple times, we might not make it to 2024. It's almost like the timeline depended on something. So when I look at 2 other factors within this equation, one would be global operations, right? We see what's going on in Gaza. We certainly know what happened. Remember the night when Russia went into Ukraine? I don't know what you guys were doing, but I remember exactly where I was, and I was not getting off my phone and computer. So we look at global operations, and then I find this really interesting. The wheels of justice turn slow, also straight out of the drops, that quote. So if there are other investigations going on, this great awakening process potentially looks like a cover for what's going on beneath the surface, right? Does that make sense? So if they are doing these investigations, if like Durham and some of these other reports came out and gave us surface level information while they attacked Trump with all these fake Biden indictments, how am I not to believe that potentially some sort of legal process is going on behind the scenes? He keeps telling us it is.
For
Anybody can jump in.
Well, he says that you guys hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah. I think you're good enough. Okay.
Well, here's the other part is that he has clearly said that there is a pause, but he also said, and I'm paraphrasing, sometimes these things take longer than we'd like them to take, or some permutation of that idea. And so the idea is this: maybe it is taking longer. Maybe this maximization of public awareness so that we can do what we need to do properly so that everybody will agree with us. Maybe this is one of the calculations that they can't really they can't really get you fully on board with it until there's enough momentum with the population. So if this is what we're looking at, again, how far will it go? I don't know. But I believe that the investigation part and the arrest part, I believe these things have already taken place. Now, there's many people who say, well, we didn't see that. You don't have any proof of that. No, we don't have any proof of it. But what we do have proof of is that you have many people stepping away from their political careers at the peak of their career. You have many CEOs. There's a list of CEOs that have stepped down across the entire spectrum. And when you look at this stuff, you have to say something abnormal is going on. Again, and we talked about this, Joe. I'm a wartime president multiple times on a COVID briefing. 10 times. We're fighting a war. This is a war like nothing we've ever had. These things have meaning even more now than they did then. So,
Chris, I would add two things that you and I used to talk about was when Trump was in front of the media, in front of Marine One, and he said, in the past tense, I got them all. Nobody could have done it but me. And then tie that to the Q drop, which said this was over before it began. And if anybody understands anything about military intelligence, why in the hell would you ever go public with something that's a live operation? You would then be putting operators and people at risk that don't need to be put at risk. So when Q started dropping, I don't know what happened during Obama's second term.
Peter, let me interrupt you real quick. I want you to keep going, but I'm going to try to get us not kicked off of the one platform. So let's just say drops, not the letter.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool. I didn't know it was that sensitive.
I think it is. I'm not sure.
Okay. So let me read this, and I won't read it. I'll read it as I won't even say drop. Those who cannot understand that we cannot simply start arresting without first ensuring the safety and well-being of the population, shifting the narrative, removing those in DC through resignation to ensure success, defeating ISIS, MS-13, to prevent fail-safes, freezing assets, to remove network-to-network abilities, kill off COC, chain of command, to prevent top-down comms, orgs, et cetera, should not be participating in these discussions. That's telling us, if you don't understand, stop injecting all of your hyperbole and your speculation. Literally a finger-wagging scolding. Agree?
Yep.
There you go.
Completely. Good. Yeah. Do you want to jump in, bud?
I may jump in after you show some clips. I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot we don't understand, and I think the pace and the timing has been controlled. I don't know that it was a finite timing that was pre-planned, and I think that's why even some of the most sophisticated anons, if that's the right word, still were fooled or thrown off track, if you will, just based on the timing. And look, if things are, I'm obviously putting it simply, but if things are this big, then I think there are going to be changes that are bigger than even the most versed of us are expecting. So yeah, that's my babble.
Joe, I know you're being the nice host, but we would also like to get your opinion on some of these things as well. But I know you're producing and working right now, but we're always curious about your thoughts and your theories.
Well, and that's what I was trying to start to get at with. I think that it's a multi-layered psyop. I think that what we're watching in front of us has. I think we would be silly to think that military intelligence, should we think they're involved, would be doing anything simple enough for the public to just look at and understand. If I'm right, it is a military intelligence international. It's literally an international intelligence war. So I can prove it. Let me play this clip and I'll show you where I'm going with this. Let me add one more to the conversation. I want to start. This one's really important. And I think people forget about this one.
Are you bringing President Trump into this so we can get firsthand verification?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
I wish I'd worn a better shirt.
Listen, look, I can't see these clips, and I promise you, I have archived what's going on. I think close to 2,000 of these clips at this point. I think I would love to help anybody that wants to help me make this hindsight is 2020 video when this is all over. But check this out. How can you listen to this? I don't know. I can't hear anything but what I hear. Check this out.
That have respected us over the years, the ones that really think like America, they're smart. I'll tell you what, they respected us 2 years ago. They respected us like they never respected us. There was no games. Ukraine would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. Energy prices would have never happened like they are. But they respected our nation. All of these things that we're looking at were self-made. They were unnecessary to happen. And what's going on now is so sad. But the other leaders, they think that we're playing because they respected us for so many years, but especially in the last 4 or 5 years prior to this disaster happening. And they think we're playing four-dimensional chess. Does that make sense? They say, there's no way this is happening. That country is too smart. It's four-dimensional. President Xi probably has a meeting and he says, wait a minute, this can't be possible. They're too smart for that. It's four-dimensional chess. Does anyone know what that means? I know what that means. You know what it means? They can't believe.
Tell me that doesn't blow your mind. He literally just told everyone they think we're playing four-dimensional chess. They say we're way too smart for this. He's insinuating that we're way too smart for this. This couldn't possibly be happening. It's not happening. Does anyone know what four-dimensional chess is? I know what it means, and he moves right along.
Wouldn't the fourth dimension be time?
I don't know what he means by four-dimensional chess. All I'm picking up on is that he's telling you they think we're playing a game. We are.
The only thing that makes sense of complete full control and that level of confidence would be you somehow have the ability to manipulate time. And then that's how you can either change or predict the future. I'm going out on a limb here, but they said expand your thinking.
All right. So couldn't you manipulate time if you already had it all in the bag and all this is a reveal? That's essentially it.
It's a great point. You do look like you're manipulating time. You can call it the looking glass all you want if you're interpreting the past into the future. So you're literally playing out what's already been done. And let's be honest. Yale, you tell me so I can get you back into this conversation. What would have happened should, first of all, I think that the 2020 election was stolen on purpose. It was part of the show, but it's because they were already stealing elections. I think the border's wide open and they're spotlighting it, and it's to a level part of the show because we already had crappy borders. That's why he wanted to build the wall. All of these issues they're spotlighting is so that we stand up and do something about it. To get back to my original point, though, what would have happened should Donald Trump have stepped in, saved the stolen election, start throwing everybody into court? Everybody's going to get investigated. Everybody's going to get arrested, et cetera, et cetera. When we came right out of the summer of love, they're using the media, leaking to the media to manipulate everybody. We would have had unrest, to say the least, in my opinion. Yale, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, that I completely agree with that. And as far as sort of time being manipulated, I think that's in our eyes. And look, even like I said, those of us who have seen it happening for a while still got a little bit emotional and still got a little impatient, and some still want to see people hanging. And so your emotions do get the better of you, but I think it exactly has to be this way. Otherwise, if it's not dragged out like this, yeah, you're going to have civil unrest. You're going to have a lot of people who just settle right back into, oh, this is just politics as usual, maybe dirty politics. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but we got to remember once this great awakening, quote unquote, happens, if there's a time to say that it's happened, eventually we're going to have to continue to defend our republic. I mean, this is going to happen over and over again. That's just how things go. They'll try to come and take it back. So hopefully the things that are in place are strong enough and great enough that that's less likely, and it's easier just to come out and and defend it. But yeah, I think it, even when I thought, okay, maybe they have to adjust the timing a little bit and throw us off track, and they thought maybe things were going to happen by this date, but it's going to be a couple more years now. Again, I think that's in our eyes, and something this fantastic is probably already predetermined. So,
Joe, I came up with a metaphor that's actually pretty sticky. And so imagine that X percentage of the people, and we'll just use America, had never seen the movie Titanic by James Cameron, nor did they know about the Titanic wreck. So we're all in the movie theater together, and we're an hour and a half into the movie, which is the length of a regular movie. And those of us who know the movie or the story of the Titanic are just waiting impatiently for it to hit the iceberg so we can get to the action scenes, right? There's your perp walks and there's your trials. And the other half of the people in the theater think it's a love story of Jack and Rose. And they have no idea what's about to happen. And we're just sitting there literally twiddling our thumbs, getting nervous. Come on, hit the iceberg, hit the iceberg, hit the iceberg. And we keep looking around at the other people and they're enthralled by a love story. And we're like, you guys have no idea what's coming, do you? I think that's kind of where we are right now.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant analogy. We might get more into this. I think it's Vigilant and I were talking about before. But when you talk about the psyche of the whole nation, you can't possibly lump everybody into one ball. You can't even possibly lump them into two, a blue and a red, or a left and a right. There are so many levels to, I hate to say manipulating, but manipulating the whole society. Look, if we've been manipulated by an enemy, globalists, other countries, whatever you want to call it, for so many years in an infiltration type of way, how would you combat that so that you can reach the whole country? There's levels to this stuff, right? There's a reason that I am able to post what I post and get a reach on social media now. It's a tell in itself already. The fact that I'm allowed to do that is a tell. And then there's Steve Bannon, and then there's Tucker, and then there's Fox News, and then there's CNN on the other side. We're all reaching different audiences within one society. YouTube, like Vigilant, maybe you might want to bring up your buddy when we talk about this TikTok thing, but there's the religious group. Go ahead, Vigilant. Do you want to step in on this just a little bit?
Well, okay. So the concept is this, and we don't have to talk about a specific YouTuber, but the narrative that I've seen in different circles, meaning different audiences, Christian audiences, other things that are speaking to certain people on YouTube, I've seen very small accounts grow larger. They're not huge, but I've watched the narrative change. And sometimes I feel like there are people in this movement that we don't really know on X or any other platform, but they're injecting more and more. I don't know how I have to cover this up for you for the YouTube, but more and more white hat style communication. And as they go forward, you begin to realize either these people are getting red pilled themselves, or they were already staged to start to inject this rhetoric and start to change the narrative. And every time I hear about the narrative change, the narrative shift, I begin to understand this idea of speaking to multiple audiences, both in terms of their demographics, whether they're Christian, whether they're just straight up MAGA, whether they're whatever that audience is. There are definitely multiple parallel lanes, but then there's also the audience that is completely outside the circle of knowledge and is coming into this trying to understand it. And then there's the second tier, which is people who are moderately awake, but they know nothing of the comms and things that we are all, involved with on a daily basis. And then, of course, there's the high level end of it where we are all have been steeped in this, dipped in the, in the pudding for 7 years. And we know from hindsight and and forward thinking, that everything we get now, every little detail of what Donald Trump says, what the kind of drops that we get from different personalities on X, we derive immediate meaning from all of this. And what I think the only thing that we have to be wary of is that we don't ourselves get caught up in our own mess. Our interpretations don't matter as much as our overall. We really need to stay at 40,000 feet and remind ourselves that there's stuff we don't know, and we don't have to, but that we see the overall picture. And that's difficult to convey to a newcomer. You're not going to take them back 6 years. It's too much. But if they can just get a grasp on the interesting part of how Trump says things funny or says things in a funny, strange way, and at least needs to look at that and say, listen, only crazy people talk that way, or he knows exactly what he's saying, and you can't figure it completely out, but definitely something is happening. So, and that's another great one. Something is happening. And I just heard that phrase.
You just teed up for me. Thank you. Why I built Magazine the way I did. It is the place for when people start rubbing their eyes and scratching their head, they can go learn on their own at their own pace based on whatever topic they're interested in. And so if somebody wants to go to the website after this show and just watch the 2-minute video on the homepage where I explain why it's not a normal website. And Mama Mac is here. Love you, baby. Anyways, thank you for kind of teeing that up.
Beer, why don't you take a second? Can you pull the link and drop it in the chat, either on Rumble or just put it in the private chat here, and I can do it?
How do I get in the chat here?
Take your time. There's no rush. I'm
looking at my toolbar options, and none of these are.
Is there a top right a comments one? Private?
Yeah, but I have to log into my YouTube account, and it said it wanted to take over all sorts of things. I didn't want it to take over.
Don't let it do that. I'll look it up in a minute when you guys are talking.
It's in my name. It's magazine.us.
Okay.
So I'm sure people can type that in. So
yeah. All right. I got another one. So I got a question all the time. And it's the reason I want to put this one up. I got this question actually a lot today because sometimes I post stuff that, sorry about that. Sometimes I post things and I don't necessarily think it's going to blow up, and then they do, right? So I posted something this morning, like 7:45, 8 o'clock when I woke up, and it's over 500,000 already. So I got a lot of questions in there because what it was about was the National Guard taking over, or whatever it is you want to call it, protecting DC during the inauguration, right? So the question I got from that post pretty consistently was, it goes back to the same one I said before. If Donald Trump or the military or some entity of good guys, white hats, whatever it might be, are in charge, why, first of all, why does the country look like it's burning down? And second of all, if Donald Trump's still in charge, how could he run a third time? Well, I got like 97 clips of Trump saying that we're sort of in his second term now. We might have to negotiate for a third term. He said it ad nauseum. So I think I want to play this clip with that preemptive discussion and see what you guys say about this. So this isn't the whole, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play the first 60 seconds.
Happy birthday, Erica!
First of all, he did that on purpose.
I've got a theory on what's in that red folder.
Okay, hold on.
The power of the president is enormous.
I have the absolute right to declare a national emergency.
And this president is not bashful in describing powers that go well beyond simple declarations.
The authority is total, and that's the way it's got to be. The authority is total.
That's what I think is most important. Look, everybody looks to the Constitution and the amendments to say that no president can be in power for more than 2 terms. We have a few examples before they made that amendment to the Constitution. However, I don't think that people take into consideration national security levels and what powers he may just have if he declares a national emergency because we had been infiltrated or that there's treason within our own government. Donald Trump, as far as my research has gone, absolutely has the power to pull off what I think he's pulling off. Do you guys have any ideas on that?
We are living in times that we'll never understand until we look back. They got one shot at this. And
I would agree with that, Scott. But I want to add one thing to what he said at the end there, and then keep going, because I remember in a low voice him saying this, and I do not know where. And then me and Rambo are trying to figure out where to find this clip. But I remember he was, you know how he speaks in a low voice. He says, "I can do things that nobody knows about," and he, in a whisper, he was talking to some reporter in an interview, and I just specifically remember, "I can do things nobody knows about." Anyway, go ahead.
I forgot where I was going. I was
Sorry.
saying that we're living in times that we'll never understand until we look back.
Yeah.
There's probably laws, executive orders, things we have not still yet found that whatever he's doing, it's not only perfectly legal, it's going to set precedent to move forward. Because in his inaugural address, he talked about shrinking the government, making it transparent, putting it back in the hands of the American people, and we weren't ready for it. Guys like me were still sleeping, apathetical. I could have been more apathetic toward anything political or government related, and now we're all obsessed with this. So what did they do? They woke up millions and millions and millions of good people and got us 100% engaged with taking back control of our government.
Thank you for putting that up, Yale. I agree with you 100%, Pierre. Hey, if everybody could, let me just take 10 seconds to say, if you do enjoy the show, being that it's a new platform and we're rebuilding our followership over here, if you could hit that thumbs up over on Rumble, same thing on YouTube, which is absolutely new to me. And if you're watching over on X, which there's like 1,000 of you, please feel free to populate over to one of the other platforms where everybody's super engaged with the chat. It's where I'm hoping to drive traffic to off of the X channel. But if you can't, please feel free to keep watching over there just the same.
I noticed in the chat, Patrick of Kekistan, I love that name, asked if there was a channel or a category, I'm assuming on my website, for Bitcoin. The answer is yes. Look under money and finances. And I've already got one show on Bitcoin, and I'm getting ready to do a couple more. I'm not promoting Bitcoin. I will just say that if you really begin to understand it, you'll realize it's not an investment. It's our best shot at creating a parallel economy and killing the central banks. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
You can call it not an investment all you want. I put a little bit of money in there a while back, and now it's a lot of money.
Dude, I put a lot of money in when it was between 45 and 60, and it dropped to 12. You want to talk about a pucker effect.
Yeah.
But I hodled because I believe in the concept, and now I feel a little bit smart.
Yes. And I feel like you're going to get that pucker effect again at some point.
Yeah, it's only money.
Yale, do you have an opinion on the Bitcoin thing? Cryptos?
Oh, yeah. I've never been much of an investor, never had even a 401k. But I started doing a little bit of that when I had a little extra money. And I've been on, I've lost my ass, and I've recently, gained some of it back with the Bitcoin. But yeah, I was started getting more active on X when the Dogecoin stuff was happening, seeing what if Elon was going to tweet so that it would go up. But I lost my ass off. But I don't know much more than anyone else. But what it seems to be coming through is, as far as that goes, stick to Bitcoin. And I agree with Scott that that's probably one of our best chances. I don't think all of these coins are going to be out there, but yeah, I don't know exactly what to think about that yet, except there's something very interesting going on with Bitcoin.
Tucker Carlson interviewed a gentleman, I think his name was Michael Saylor, and you guys might want to poke around and find that interview. And Michael Saylor is a guy who started this giant software company and invested literally millions and millions of dollars into Bitcoin, but he explains it in a way to where your light bulb will go on. And I don't want to paraphrase the gentleman because I won't get it close enough, but just watch that interview, start doing your own homework, do your own research, use critical thinking. Because I got to tell you, if I had to bet my house on what's going to be worth more down the road, will it be precious metals? Will it be real estate? Will it be Bitcoin or something like that? I would just be throwing a dart at the board with my eyes closed right now.
I'm looking at these comments while you guys are talking, and I'll agree. So first and foremost, there isn't anybody on this panel that I'm aware of that's a financial advisor. We're just the same as you guys talking through this situation. I'd like to bring up precious metals because I never had a bunch of money I could put into this where, like, you know, my whole asset is going to be reliant on it. But I've done the same as I think most of the people in this movement, and I've taken it the little bit that I can, and I put it into silver as well. Right. So I put a little bit in both. Well, silver's still sitting the same, and Bitcoin is on a roller coaster. Up, it's down, it's up, it's down. I can't keep up with it. It's scary to even look at. I try not to be honest. But what do you think of the precious metals? We could go around on that one.
I have no opinion, and if I did, it would be probably a little bit skewed because those companies seem to have a lot of money, and as I will eventually monetize a magazine so I can make a living, I know those sponsors or advertisers from precious metals will be lining up to try to, you know, either sponsor certain shows and or an entire category on my site, maybe of finances, metals, crypto. So I would be probably biased, so I'm not going to comment on precious metals. I just look at things that are finite and things that are infinite. And you can always print more money, you can always create more crypto, and you can always mine more metals and diamonds. But with Bitcoin, it's a finite amount, and supply and demand is a very real thing.
I see you, Vigilant. You trying to speak up?
Well, the only thing I would say is that my buddy just sold all of his gold, and he is uncharacteristically moving into coin. I don't agree with what he's doing. I think he's a little late on the draw for Bitcoin. Obviously, he's behind the timeline on that. But here, what I will say is that what he talked about and what I talked about with him about gold is a hedge, and it is a money. It's a value preserver, but it isn't a money maker, and it will never be. There are times when it can be. There are times when the gold market's volatile and you can make money off of it. But I don't believe gold in general is a way to invest. It's not an investment, and it never has been. And this is a well-known concept. Precious metals, the silver market actually has utility value. Silver is used. Gold. A lot of people think gold is used profusely in the industry, but it's not. It's considered hard money, and it's considered you use it for jewelry, and it's valuable because it's not finite, but it does have a limit to how much of there is at any given time. But what I would say about this is right now I'm more interested in the short-term bank rates going down Monday. This thing that happened with the short-term interest rate for banks and these lenders, this indicates that even though the stock market is at an all-time high, I mean, the stock market has peaked out. When money is cheap, you go to paper assets. So you buy equities, you buy all the crap that is undersold, undervalued, and you buy into that. Well, right now, if you have money and you're going to do something with it, you're certainly not going to invest your money in short-term interest rates because they're going to go down, or at least they've announced that they're going to go down. I don't know if they have yet, but I don't anticipate that anybody is going to be able to lose in the stock market. I don't. I feel like market crashes are ridiculously manipulated, and they are not real. The ones that we saw, they're not real. Now, there's something to them, but what happens with banking when all the things we hope will happen to the bankers which is they get their just desserts. And we come into a phase where banks no longer get to print our debt, because this is what fiat currency is. You're printing our debt. Okay, well, that has to end. This is the endless supply of money that has no intrinsic value other than the fact that you call it an American dollar. But and it doesn't even matter if it's the dollar. If it doesn't matter, the fact is it's fiat currency. It's backed by nothing. The only thing that does back us up is this, and I've told Scott this. This is a concept that is near and dear to my heart. The only capital that has any real value, lasting value, is human capital. And the human capital means that's the work product of the people. America still has at least if you consider China as actually, they've got their boot on the neck of the people. China produces stuff by force. America still has a voluntary aspect to our workforce. We are the most productive company in a free society, or country in a free society. And without us continuing to play the game, they have nothing. If we stop, you have nothing. Your human effort is the only thing making us go. And so my big deal is, when are we going to stop feeding the beast? When are we going to say no together? And that's it. And other than investment, all these things have value. I think that the companies have value because they actually make stuff that sells. Even this Boeing thing, I think, is ridiculous. The guy that just got supposedly unalived. Okay, so the stock price goes down to 185. Boeing is the biggest defense contractor, one of the biggest defense contractors in the world. I just don't see where there's no value in Boeing. Boeing is a valuable asset.
You saw that Delta, right?
Yep. No,
that guy didn't. I don't know how to explain it and not get booted, but it's straight up in the secret messaging that we have gotten, the secret, very public, very attacked messaging that we've gotten. Straight up talked about protections, whistleblower protections on that exact date. Correct? It was like a 5-year Delta, if I remember right.
No, I am not recalling specifically what you're saying, but I get what you're telling me. But so the means of production is in the hands of the wicked, essentially. I mean, the military-industrial complex obviously is playing both sides of the fence. But the question in my mind is, when will our country do exactly what Trump has been talking about for decades? Stop getting ripped off. Actually corral the real wealth that we have as a country, and which means you don't give it away. We have been sold out by politicians for decades, and we are giving away the booty. When he says we're wealthy and we will be wealthy again, we will be strong again. If these things don't come to pass, the fact of the matter is, it isn't just Trump, because Trump says out loud, we will be the president. He doesn't say me. It's not me. It's us. We will be the president. And what does that mean? It means we, the people, will actually be the ones that drive this. And if everybody that we believe has conspired to rob this country blind, that includes all the defense contractors, does it not?
For sure.
Do we have a right to take it back? You're criminals. You criminally started wars.
Yeah, what would be in question is the process and how we pull that off.
Well, you couldn't do it by force in front of everybody, because that would cause a riotous discombobulation.
So are you leading back to what we're seeing in resignations? And
I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what that portends. I mean, obviously, man, I do not go deep into, like, say you just dug into one company. Just say for example, you dug into Boeing, like somebody did a deep dive. I think that the dives that one could do just in one or two companies would be It would take up most of your life. Seriously.
So I'm gonna put a graphic up on the screen, and I'm gonna try to do this in under 20 seconds, because I think if we do it quickly and I don't mention certain things, I think we can pull it off. But I think this is important to what you're talking to, and then I want to hear what Yale has to say. But I want to do this quickly. So you're talking about Boeing. I'll give you a little preemptive to what I'm about to show you. But this is the article. This, I think, came from X. I'm not sure who wrote this article, but this is about that Boeing whistleblower dies by suicide amid involvement in lawsuit against the company. So when you look at this, you'll see real quick that the date is exactly the same. So exactly 5 years prior, in this messaging, you will see Whistleblower Protection Act, exact same date. Check this out quick. March 11th, 2019, March 11th, 2024, Boeing Whistleblower Protection Act. Interesting, right?
You want a weird thought? Somebody said we protect our patriots. What if there's a likelihood that guy is not gone?
That's exactly what I think that's saying. That's exactly 100%. I think you're right, Beer. I think that's exactly what that's talking. Whistleblower Protection Act. Whistleblower dies. I'm not buying it. I feel like we were told exactly what's happening. That guy's protected.
What if
Go
that's
ahead, Yale.
what if that's the only way to protect them is to make them appear to be unalived?
Epstein. I don't think Epstein's dead at all.
The number one whistleblower in the world, and you throw him in the general populace in one of the worst prisons in the country? I don't think so.
Definitely not. What about Assange? Do you guys think he's sitting there locked up and they didn't do anything about it? Donald Trump used WikiLeaks like ad nauseum going into the Hillary Clinton presidential race. Ad nauseum. He was using them every day in speeches.
What about Seth Rich? If you were the White Hats making a movie, wouldn't you make it so that he gets 187, but yet they don't take his watch, his wallet, or his money? I mean, can you imagine the look on certain people's faces when he reappears?
I don't know if they'll reappear. I hope you're right. It's just like this whole process. I don't know that we'll ever get the vindication. Yeah, I want to get you back involved. Do you have ideas on either crypto or silver or any of this stuff we just talked about?
Yeah, on the stuff you were just talking about, I think, yes, we're definitely not going to know, right? So you can't be 100% sure about anything, but once you've taken the leap to understand that things like this are even possible, which is an important leap, then you could start to be. It's much more likely than not that that's what's happening, and I agree. I don't know that there's going to be some big reveal where everybody comes out on stage and takes a bow and says, "Hey, these were all the actors," and but it does make a lot of sense, and it probably would look something like this. We'd have no idea.
If you wanted to 100% win a game of chess, and you had this amazing ability that after they, let's say, capture your queen, and the queen is now off the chessboard, but the queen is able to sneak back on undetected until you re-release her, that would explain people like Jeff Sessions. You take him off the chessboard day one, probably to some extent, General Flynn. He got fired, the first 2 weeks, fired. Wouldn't that be a great way to allow your best players to move undetected and nobody's looking at them while they just quietly do their jobs?
It makes more sense than the theories I see floating around on X. It also makes sense why those theories are floating around on X, because they're after people that are working really hard for our benefit on our behalf.
With back to things that are being manipulated. I mean, we see how mainstream media is being manipulated, and back to the digital currency. I remember that day with the damn Dogecoin again. Elon Musk was going to come out on Saturday Night Live and it was going to skyrocket. And I was watching, and that's when all my shit went down like hardcore, and it would, especially in hindsight, it's a good way to deter people from going that route. So I'm sure a lot of people were looking at that and were scared off. So that's interesting. And the oil beneath our feet right now, drill baby drill. I mean, that we already got a taste of the implications of that. That's one of the first times I thought I really saw, oh my God, what this guy is saying is absolutely true. Peace through strength, and being self-reliant. And we're using oil with the gold. It's been around for ages. So, but I did have a bit of an epiphany recently when I just thought, like oil, it depends on how much gold you have under your feet, and you can get it out. But as the Vigilant says, we don't really use that directly. So is it possible that, and this is probably out there, but is it possible that, gold won't have that nearly that strength in the future, in the near future? I don't know. But I definitely think there's major manipulation going on. And usually when it's that in your face, it's for a reason, whether good or nefarious.
It's almost though. So, I mean, this is just my opinion, right? I don't really know anything. Like I said, I'm no financial expert, but it seems to me when you're manipulating a market the way they are, look, if you're selling 20 pieces of paper for every piece of silver, and you're doing that on the fact that there is that in the ground, you're getting ahead of yourself. It's almost like running a debt up on a credit card that you don't have the ability to pay. Eventually, if you run up $100,000 on a credit card, it will catch up to you. And when it catches up to you, what happens? It all implodes. Something happens. Either you end up going to court, whatever. But if we talk about the financial market, if they're selling so many pieces of paper to so much silver that they actually have physically, eventually it will catch up with them. That would be my opinion. So if that market breaks, if the BRICS coalition or any other things we're seeing, this inflation or Russia backing their currency by gold, all the different things that we've seen financially the last 4 or 5 years, it just seems to me that it would only be logical at some point that market breaks. And if that market breaks, the value of hard assets like gold and silver has to skyrocket. It would have to. They've been manipulating it forever. I saw you unmute, Vigilant.
Yeah, just real quick. We need to get our head around the concept is this. If you believe that the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab actually are wanting to take control of the world, what they need is the will of the people. What is being crafted here is the will of the people has now been slowly and very carefully manicured to come full circle and understand that you have the power. You are the ones that say what you will and will not do. If you comply, if you follow, they're going to take you down that road. And I think that the biggest problem with all of this is that we are our own worst enemy. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing that the apathy of the public, the bread and circuses, the distraction and the consumer and materialistic nature of society in general, and the selfishness with which has been injected into every form of entertainment and culture, all of the social media, people posting their vacations and their fucking food that they eat. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, no, I'm just getting. I apologize to anybody listening, but it's indicative of a society that is blind to its own foibles. And so what ends up happening is now you got a whole group of us that are saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And there are people waking up. And I don't know, Scott, do you know what was the percentage it takes to get the momentum?
10%, according to Malcolm Gladwell, that if only 10% of any group or population fervently believes something and is vocal and consistent about that new belief,
Okay.
Eventually, the other 90% will adopt the same belief.
All right. And given that fact, I don't know if we're at 10%, but think about it. Wouldn't you think that we are at 10%? But this is not about 10%. Like, this is about overkill now, or am I too optimistic?
Well, Chris, I'm sorry, Vigilant. I don't believe the percentage is as important as the fact that that the other, I'll pretend the other 90% are now questioning things, and they don't know exactly what to question, but they know something isn't right, and they know hanging on to their old beliefs is no longer helping them. I think most of them are looking for what's next or what's different. The conversations I've had recently with my own family have been like night and day. And so now they're questioning things, and I'm answering questions. I'm not, of course, saying I told you so. I'm just saying, well, go have a look and let me know what you find, and let's talk again in a week or two. And things are going much better than they were just a few short years ago.
So
Joe, hang on a second, Vidge. Joe, I wanted, when he's done talking, I wanted to segue a little bit and talk about the relationship he and I have had going back, during this Great Awakening thing, that he and I go back from the time we were teenagers.
I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that. And I'd like to hear some of Yale's story, at least some of it.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
We could do
definitely. There's just the one concept here that I'm pushing at, and to sum this up is exactly what we were told, that they do not fear anything but the will of the people. They do not fear anything but us awake. And the reason why is, if we were wide awake, right, and they destroyed society in an apocalyptic way, as we all in horror think that they want to do that, guess what? Anybody left over, we would not be complying. There would be nobody left. In other words, the apocalyptic ideology behind all this becomes a bit ridiculous, but especially if you do not have the cooperation. You cannot make people do what you want them to do if you press into them in ways that show them that their lives are going to completely be destroyed. They won't let you do it. They won't. And that's what's happening. We are waking up to the point where we're just not going to do what you tell us. Period. It doesn't matter what you do to our platforms. It doesn't matter if you squelch us. It doesn't matter if you squeeze us. We're going to still talk, and we're still going to not believe you. And it's going to be more and more and more. That's it.
That's absolutely true. Let me just say one thing, and then I want you to go into what you're doing, Scott. Right now, currently live, Bitcoin is up 200% this year. Just in 1 year, Bitcoin is up right now exactly 200.07%. That's crazy.
I'm glad I hodled.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of percent. That's a lot. So you don't have to necessarily look at an investment, but that's a data point. Go ahead, Scott. Take it away. Let's hear what you wanted to talk about.
Well, it has to do with the relationship me and the Vigilant have had since we were teenagers, and we have been best friends ever since. But we kind of grew apart as adults do as they go through their lives, and he gets busy with what he's doing, I get busy with what I'm doing. But when this Great Awakening thing began grabbing my full attention, he was one of the first phone calls I made, and I said, "Bro, you need to look at this thing. I think it's real, and if it is, we don't want to miss out on this." That was probably 6 years ago. And during that time, you would think that he and I have had nothing but conversations of agreement and kumbaya and hugging and crying. And there's been times where there were FUs and eat a bag of whatevers, and I don't want to talk to you for a few days while I calm down. And when we both, he and I are very, very fiery personalities. And when we're passionate about things, especially something this important, it's not always easy. And yet we've always come back together, and we've always, hugged it out and then tried to, dig together and learn together. But the thing I've enjoyed most has been the friction between the two of us, because therein lies the learning of looking at the other person's theory or opinion and seeing what they are seeing, and trying to really get to their point of view. And then, of course, looking for the truth. which has been exceptionally difficult throughout this movement because we weren't giving truths, we were given clues. And so you've got millions of us worldwide all pulling the rope the same way, trying to poke a hole in this thing. And so far, we failed miserably. So, Vigilant, if you want to weigh in on your perspective on how much it sucks to be the best friend of me.
I mean, it sucks to a certain point, but doesn't suck, because the whole point is that when you say, you just said it sucks to be your friend. Okay, embrace the suck. I love that. I love that phrase, because isn't that true? I mean, think about this movement. This movement is embrace the suck. The whole thing. How can you be under this much duress, both financially, physically, mentally, and have your friends have all of these ideas that you are sharing together, but not really having any sense of how me standing in my kitchen talking to you guys on this show, how we're actually solving it? And we all are supposed to be believing in a white hat operation. Okay, great. We believe in that. But we're not supposed to sit on our hands. Well, what are we supposed to do? Well, again, me and Scott have always had a different style of communication, as he likes to put it. I'm a thinker, and he's more of a director / socializer kind of person. And I'm analytical, but I tend to go long, and you guys know that. I've had my times where I will go on my little monologue. I try to stop myself more, but I guess what happens is that we are so caught up in our own emotions that there's times when even the best of friends, we hit a wall with each other, and it pretty much is, it ends up dividing us for a moment. What, like a day or two, Scott? Oh man, then it's a text and like, hey man, I miss you. Okay, yeah. What? Okay, what happened? I don't know. Nothing. I was just pissed that day. And that's it. I mean, that's how it goes. And it hasn't happened that often, but it happens often enough that, you clearly can understand the tension, right? There's tension in the whole country. And that just because you're best friends with somebody and they're in this movement. Look, if Scott did not present this to me, I wouldn't even be in this as thick as I am with all of you guys, all you girls and gals and people. I'm just an unsuspecting bystander in my point of view. All of you guys say, well, yeah, this guy, this Vigilant guy, or this guy or that guy. I'm just with everybody else. There's really nothing special about me, man. I'm a guy at my house talking to you guys. Honestly, just trying to make a living, trying to make a life. It's really the truth.
That's the same. I think that's the same for every one of us. Look, your guys' interaction there made me think of something, and I've been considering it the whole time we've been talking about whether or not I should say it, but I'm going to. My best friend, when it came to this movement, has been since day one, Stormy J from Brainstorm. So, I almost hope that we can move forward with this creative differences part and like becoming two separate shows on two separate platforms as a jumping off to growing and continuing that friendship, because our goal is absolutely 100% the same. In my opinion, our friendship has changed exactly zero. It was literally just creative differences when it comes down to it. I hope and pray that our friendship continues the same way that you guys are talking about right now, because that dude means the world to me, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have speed bumps, like you have disagreements and things happen. It changes my love for that dude exactly zero.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you guys might be a force multiplier. He's going to go do his thing his way. You're going to go do your thing your way. And I can guarantee you're going to be one of the first guests on his show. He's going to be one of the first guests on your show. And the world now has two great voices, unmarred by trying to do a partnership. So now you guys can just be yourselves and then, promote and support each other. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. There have been a lot of casualties in this movement. And unfortunately, my phone rings just about every time somebody's going through a divorce and they want somebody to talk to. And it's happening at a quickening pace, which breaks my heart. But all I can do is try to be a good friend for the people who are in pain. And also just ask them, leave the door open for any broken relationships you have, because when the Great Awakening, as we go through it, I firmly believe those lost relationships will not only be healed, but I think they're going to be healed in a way that's deeper, as if nothing had ever happened. Kind of like the Apostle Paul, who was the biggest Jesus denier. And when he flipped, he was the greatest salesman of Christ who ever walked on the planet. And I hope a lot of these marriages and friendships are healed in a similar fashion. That's what I pray for all the time.
I hope we are as a society. At some point, I pray to God that we get back to debating on a civil level the issues.
Yes. And if we can lighten the mood just a little bit, we would like to hear Yale tell us a little bit about do the people in charge actually know the Anons? Have we made a difference? Have they identified us digital keyboard warriors, and do they ever want to give us a little hat tip, one way, shape, or form? And Yale, I mean, you can tell as much or as little as you want. I'm hoping you save the cherry on top for my show, but I tell you.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll kick him off right now if you want me to, yeah.
I think he brought enough for everybody with the story he's about to tell. So I'm going to mute myself, and you're going to enjoy this man's story. It's a dandy.
Yeah, bro. I gotta say, I saw you sitting there patiently while we talked about that stuff, but I cannot wait to hear you share however much of your story you would love to share. It's an awesome story. So please take the floor.
Yeah, thanks. I think it is a hat tip to us all. So, you know, we could maybe in the future spend a little time looking at the clips and things a little bit closer and the story. I do want to say, just touching on what you guys were talking about or add to it, you know, the folks I'm surrounded with and that we all are surrounded with here are brilliant thinkers, and but they've all come at this with patriotism and with heart, and also they tell you this is what they believe, but they don't know. I think that's extremely powerful, and they also create an environment where, you know, we can call it debate, but where you're free to think and say stupid things, which is 95% of what I like to do, just to keep that going. And that's really and no holds barred. And like Scott says, you know, they're not holding it against you. They're waiting there with open arms. And I think that is extremely valuable. And that is the best way to learn and put yourself out there. So I just got to say that I really shouldn't be among these giants. But back to what I can contribute without going into it too much. I mean, I came on Truth when it came out, and, you know, X had been down, and I knew all these great names mostly from X. I wasn't on the boards, but X22 I've listened to every episode. There's, you know, 3,300 of them and a financial one, and I've listened to every minute of both. And so I was a little dismissive about that. But actually that's really good information. And that's how I felt like I knew these folks. So when they started interacting with me on Truth, I just opened up, and I came with the Yale PHD handle, not because I have a Yale PhD. No, I actually do. But to kind of, you know, so that people would kind of raise an eyebrow and say, who is this clown? There's no way a Yale guy is a patriot. And it was very natural. I mean, you got all kinds of personalities. Some are a little rough around the edges, but they all have a very similar, for the most part, sense of humor. And that's what I think really opens up to, you know, open sort of discussion. And so I immediately started interacting with those folks and being followed by people like Scott right away, and Lisa May, and in the Matrix, and, you know, all these people that I'd really looked up to, and I thought that was awesome. I'm actually talking to these people. The @Q account was on Truth. I know that's a whole nother deal you talked about a little bit yesterday. It could be, seems like it's related to Cash or Devin, but so I was really kind of into that with like a non-famous. We were kind of interacting with that account, which was pretty cool. And then then I started kicking out my poems, which is what I do. Like, you ask any of my family, most of their birthday cards, as opposed to a good gift, I sit there in the garage when I come back from, Walmart or wherever it was, with the card and bust out a poem. It usually has some inside info and little tidbits that make it kind of funny. So I started doing that with Truth Social, and I got retruthed by Devin Nunes a number of times, a shitload of likes from him on different stuff. Cash Patel, I wrote one, and he sent me, an autographed book. Believe Media picked up on it. And then it was about May of 2022. I think it was right after maybe Memorial Day or something, if I'm getting my days right. And Trump retruthed one of my poems that had, and I had seen Cag Drago and these other folks that I knew. I started following them. I said, you're going to get retruthed. I mean, just amazing stuff. And so that was the first time I got a Trump retruth. And my mind was, I was going nuts, but my mind was racing. Did he actually see this? Yeah, it was a high caliber poem, but but did he see it? And then so it's been 8 retruths by Trump, and a few of them he's specifically said, "Thank you, Yale PhD," which those types of posts don't seem like it's a team that's going to write something.
Bro, weren't we all thinking the same thought, which is Trump has a huge staff, and I'm sure an entire department just on monitoring social media accounts. So I would have had the same thought as you. There's no way Trump read this, but somebody on the staff read it and acknowledged me, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when I had the opportunity to go to, I actually took a day off of work when Trump was coming to New Hampshire, April 27th, 2023. It's tattooed right here on my arm. And I made my way up there, and that's why I can drag it out and make the story a little bit more interesting. But it was, 6 hours of just standing up in dehydration and not even making a bathroom run because I was just trying to make my way up there. And long story shorter, I printed up a little Yale PhD sign that said Yale PhD real big, and it was just to catch his eye. Like, I'm going to try and find out if he even recognizes it. And so I got a clip off like RSBN after the fact, and you could see me holding up my sign right towards the end. And maybe we'll share these one of these times. I think we're going a little long now, but it's up to you guys. But I held it up, and he definitely looked at me twice and finished his speech. I thought I was going to throw him off, but I think it's probably hard to do. And when he said, "God bless you," he pointed at my sign and he said, "God bless you all." And he pointed at it again, gave a thumbs up, pointed at it again, and said, "That's good." And the lady next to me had just asked me, what is Yale PhD? And I showed her a couple of my retruths, and she's like, let him see your sign. When he did that, that was it. That mission accomplished. He looked at it, he pointed, he said, "That's good." And she's like, he totally did. He looked at you. And I was drained and done. And, this is one of those, he doesn't always come down and interact with the crowd. And at this one, there was a railing, so he was still separated quite a bit, but he started coming down. She said, "You've got to make your way over there." And I was just telling these guys, I probably took out a few kids. Sorry, folks, but whatever I had to do to make my way up there. And so as he got close, I was like, "Sir," and I just sound like a baby. It was surreal that he had just done that. So I was still kind of shaky, but he was actually making his way towards me. He held up the sign close to him, and he kind of broke the line from his security, and he threw me off at first. He said, "Is that your site? Is that your site?" Which I was like, "Site? No, I didn't have a site or anything." So I was like, "No, that's all me. That's I write all those poems myself on Truth Social." And he said, "Come here. You do a great job." I looked at I've heard it probably 1,000 times now to try and hear what he was saying, but he said, "Come here, you are great," and he reached across and shook my hand. My camera then was all shaky. Then he told the security, "It's okay, I know him." I asked him to sign it, and he purposely took the time, folded it in half, took his time signing it, told me, "You do a great job," and pointed right at me. I can't wait to show the clip because I point right back at him. I think I tried to outpoint him. I think I may have won. But it was clear that he was taking the time. And how the hell would he, if it's a Trump double, for example, I mean, I don't think he would have got the download. And if he wasn't seeing these things, he wouldn't have known the name. And thank God it gave additional validation. So I don't just got to say, yeah, he was pointing at my sign. And but what does that mean? That means so much. All of these folks, you've heard General Flynn tell folks, we love you guys at, we the media or whatnot. You've heard Trump call out certain people for whatever reason, but it goes to show you that they are seeing what we're putting out there big time.
Yale you skipped something. Wasn't there a thing where, as you were kind of moving into the front row, and you were trying to get the president's attention, didn't a Secret Service guy about to step in, and Trump said, no, he's good. I know him. He's good.
Oh, that's the best part. I mean, you'll see this guy around on other videos as Trump security. This guy looks like he wants to bite your head right off at any moment, all of them. And he was swatting me away. And Trump actually said a couple of times, he did say, "It's okay, I know him." And that's when it comes into focus. And that was the greatest moment of my life. That's why the next thing I said, I wasn't ready for it. I said something like, "Sir, I want to work for you." And
Look, Yale, I think your story is awesome. And I see why your favorite parts are your favorite parts, but I've seen these pictures and videos. I'm lucky enough that I got to see them. And my favorite part of this whole thing is that you went on the internet and found a picture from a photographer that wasn't you, looking over Trump's shoulder and seeing you looking at him. It was amazing. Yeah. That photo was amazing.
I've been keeping it on the down low a little bit just for selfish reasons and, little bitchy reasons. But I think when we do this, I'm going to have to do that because you need the full picture. I'll just come out on video. You can find me anyway. But yes, it's amazing because when I saw the pictures, I saw photography going on behind me on stage, and I was like, I wonder if they're out there. And I found the clips, and I look like I've been run over by a freaking lawnmower, and my head's all dangling like like I can faint at any moment. But it's a picture of him pointing right at me, so you can see it from different angles. And it was clear. I wasn't actually right up front either. When he started interacting with me, the waters kind of parted, and somehow as he approached, I was able to get right up to him. So that's it's pretty amazing. But I mean, clearly he's seeing the stuff. The guy's a machine.
Well, it was nice to talk to you guys. I got to go work on my poems. I'll be back.
Joe, can you?
They're really gangster raps, but some of them come out as poems.
Joe, can you and I publicly arm wrestle for the next 30 seconds about who gets the right for the entire story on their show? My opening salvo, my show's called View from My Parade. And the only reason I'm going to just play my trump card out of the gate is I just don't want you to have a rebuttal. I have now hosted somewhere in the neighborhood of 239 out of 240 Friday nights, faithfully, a private Zoom. And every one of you, the only one I missed was when I was on vacation. You thought the world was coming to an end. My phone just kept blowing up. Where's the Zoom? Where's the Zoom? No Zoom. I'm like,
I would never even fight that, but can I come?
Oh yeah. Like
I want to come and hang out.
Okay.
Guys, do you understand the enormity of this? They're fighting over me.
Yes. like two hot chicks who saw you in the bar.
I would, Rambo, I love you. Actually, you started popping on the Zooms at a somewhat later date, and I loved you from the beginning, and for good reason. But I will say, I mean, I owe Scott is my hugest supporter, and so I've spent thousands of hours chatting with Scott. Imagine this, folks. I mean, and y'all should do this. You should come to these. these casts and get some of the same fellowship that I've been getting, that a lot of us have been getting. I mean, this is what it's all about. And imagine doing this for thousands of hours with just the greatest minds and just all kinds of dirty jokes and just open discussion. So what Scott has done, actually, a lot of what you're seeing, I think, has stemmed from what Scott has done. And so I yield to Scott on that one. But I love you. I love you guys, all you guys. Particularly love you, Scott.
Thank you. And for those of you listening or watching, all I did was I started a private Zoom group on Friday evenings. And I started off by inviting one guy from Australia, Burns Buck. And he and I became besties. And then after a couple of chats, he's like, I want to meet your other friends. And I said, well, I want to meet your other friends. So the next week, there was like 4 of us. The week after that, there was 5 or 6. And now at any given time, there'll be 25, 30 of us live. And it's been going for like 5 years, every single Friday. And you know what? We've gotten so good at being a family. And a lot of people on Friday night might have a little something to mind altering as we're telling jokes and sharing philosophies and stories. But you'll notice you can have 30 people live and nobody's talking over anyone else. It's just respect. Somebody's making a point. Everybody stays quiet till the point is made, and then somebody will jump in with their point. So I would recommend for any of you listening, the best thing that I did for my own sanity was I started corralling my friends from the internet and from social media and sending them texts and DMs saying, it'd be nice to see you Friday evening. And they started popping in, and it's been a game changer, at least for me. It's been my sanity since I got into the Great Awakening.
Look, the drops say nobody is above another. Mm-hmm. But I will say, when you get invited to something like your Friday night Zoom, I click and show up in there, and I felt like I was among royalty. And like I know all of these accounts and all of these amazing contributors to the movement. I was blown away. I'm still blown away when I am able to show up on those Friday nights. And I think that you're right. That could go for anybody could start a group like that and start corralling other amazing minds and people in this movement. I think that's what we were supposed to do. That's that motivational part, because it's awesome to be able to sit there and like Clarity, who you see her name in the chat.
Yep.
Blows my mind sometimes in those chats. Right. And then you got people like Smart Paul, who are brilliant to talk to. And then next thing you know, there's a fart joke and we're all laughing.
Like I might be the cause of the diversion of most inappropriate jokes, but
take a Beano, maybe Scott, before we start. But
by the way,
yeah, go ahead, Scott.
I found my doppelganger on X. The guy's name is all caps. Jesus is King, and I think his handle is like @fartflames or @fartflamer, and I'm like, there's me in a nutshell. I'll go from leading a heartfelt prayer, and an hour later, I'm telling an inappropriate poop joke.
we and these folks, just like you said, Joe, we have mad respect for them. We also have a sense that we know they're great patriots. We have a sense they're good people just from what we've seen. But you get on there with them, and you get to know the person. And these are people, they're effing amazing, great people when it comes to anything, talking about relationships and trials and tribulations. I mean, fart joke 1 second, we sit down and pray 5 or 6 times for people.
I've got to tell a story about 3 people who met through my Friday Zooms. This one man and this one woman realized that they were attracted to each other, and both single. And so this man happens to be a brilliant writer. And so he wrote on his Substack about a woman he had fallen in love with through the internet, and that someday he could see himself being her husband and helping raise her daughter in a proper nuclear family sort of environment. It was very well written and heartfelt. There was another person in my Zoom chat who works very hard in his own business and built it and has made and earned a lot of money. He read this And he was so touched. I mean, they were literally 2,000 miles apart. He lived in the Southwest United States. She lived in the Midwest of the United States. So he reads this Substack, this article about falling in love. And he contacted the guy and said, what's keeping you from moving right now and starting a new life with this woman? And he said, well, it's really a work thing. My job is here. I don't know if I can find any work immediately where she is. And this gentleman said, start packing everything you own. You're moving on Monday. I'm covering all your moving expenses and giving you a 2-year consulting agreement with my company. And he goes, but I don't do what your company does. He goes, dumbass, I'm giving you a 2-year consulting agreement with my company so you can afford to move, live there, get settled in, get married, start raising that child properly, and that'll give you enough time to find work for what you do. That happened because friends made friends on Friday night. Lives were changed. There's now a little girl who the first time in her life has a real father who's not only brilliant, but has a heart the size of Texas. The single mom now has a real husband for the first time. And that man now has a second chance at life to raise another family the way he will raise that family. This is why hives are so important. The relationships that have been made, the business opportunity that people have given each other. One time I was really down on my luck financially. COVID killed my business. The same guy was praying on a Saturday morning and he calls me out of the blue and he says, I was just praying, your name popped up. I just need to send you $10,000. What's your address? And my wife and I had been wanting to go on this basically free vacation, and we really hardly had the money to even cover airfare. And because of that gesture, we went on our first vacation in 5 years. This is how Anons love on Anons.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It really kind of segues into the way I wanted to end the show. I didn't know if you guys have more topics, we can, but that whole thing goes right into what I wanted to do to bounce out of here today. And maybe I'll ask you guys about it before we do it so we can have a talk about this. But have you guys seen, I didn't realize that Sarge SSG, who I love, he's on here all the time, was part of We Got Your Six. I didn't realize he was the guitar player. And he told me yesterday. So I love Stormy Patriot Joe, right? Pepe's in the video for Nothing Can Stop Us Coming. So I kind of thought because we just talked about it yesterday that I was going to end with that. But do you guys know what song I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Do you have any experience with what we're going to do here?
I've known he's a guitar player for quite some time.
I thought he was guitaring on, bro.
No. Two different guys.
I really thought it was him, though. I thought he was lying to me.
And I was kind of jealous that they didn't pick me as drummer anon for their videos. But that woman who plays, she's awesome. And she's got a long history with high-level Patriots. So I was willing to take a backseat on that one. By the way, when it comes to drumming, I'm a pretty decent piano player, and I don't play that well either. So,
well, how come Lisa May got on there and you didn't get on there?
Well, look at her and look at me. Do the math, Einstein.
She's talented.
She can sing.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed when they did it. I'm still hoping. I've been in talks with Absolute 1776 and Stormy Patriot Joe. If anybody out there can get in touch with them again, it's been like a week since I talked to them since the brainstorm thing kind of went in opposite direction. So I haven't talked to them since, but I still hope to sit down with those guys. Another couple of heroes as far as I'm concerned.
It's coming. There will be a reunification of hives. I'm already extending olive branches to my good friends over at Badlands Media, and I hope someday to be a small part of building bridges with some of the fracturing that's happened kind of naturally or forced to make sure hives didn't get too big and too powerful. And does anybody have any sauce that Guitar Anon is General Flynn's son? That's quite a statement without sauce.
I think it's hysterical that everybody's trying to figure out who he is because that is one of the funniest accounts on X. Yeah.
No, he's not going to tell you.
No, he's not. He's not.
Joe, if you want to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's do that. So here's what I just want to do before. First of all, thank you to everybody that showed up. Please, the greatest thing that I would be the most grateful for would just be to share the show out to anybody you think might also enjoy it. Hit the whatever positive affirmation there is on whatever platform you're on. Hit that thumbs up over on Rumble. Same thing, I believe it is over on YouTube. And if you're watching on X, just know that those two platforms exist. I appreciate all of you. One more shout out. I want to do this because the Red Castles meant so much to me. First of all, let's get the one from today because thank you.
Yep.
I'm going way back up. There we go. Sherry Weeks 948. I'm gonna add you to the list of the people I call out. I am so grateful for your support. Yale, thank you, sir. Sharon Amex, Tiffany Regato, and 17 Emerald Roses. Now, Beer, do you want to do the honors on this? I want everybody that's here still live on the chat. I have all three platforms populating to the same place. Can you see the chat on the StreamYard, Beer? Can any of you? So if you hit the chat on the
the last two drops, Patrick of Texas and Sherry.
Yeah, it brings in all the comments, whether it's from X or from Rumble.
Correct. Yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
today, because they're all there, I don't want to be the one that picks. I don't want it to be biased. So
do I get to pick someone for
if you can see the chat, you guys
I can for the free
so I want everybody to throw a 5x5 in the chat just to show that you're still here, because whoever still currently watched the show all the way through.
Yeah, I'll pick from the new pool. Sure. Everybody quickly weigh in with something, and it better be
just throw in
it
a
better
5x5.
Be funny if you can make me laugh the hardest. Oh, he's just going with 5x5, but if anybody's got a short fart joke, I lean towards fart jokes. I'm just saying.
So here's while they're doing that, and while you're deciding who's going to get it, the idea is now you got to remember to do this, because yesterday I gave away 2, but one person respectfully said that they were good. I think maybe they already got some. That was Amex, who's also a monthly supporter. But then the other one was Gloria _proper. So she, I hope, hears this and looks at the website and picks one and lets me know. All I would need for you is to get a hold of me. If I don't follow you already, I will. So either in the hard comments on Rumble or YouTube or on my X account, just get my attention. If I don't follow you, I will, so we can talk on back channels. And if you can just say, I don't care if it's a PO box, I don't care where it is, just give me an address to send it to. I will purchase whatever coffee. It could be Beer at the Parades. It could be anybody on that list.
Oh, I will purchase it. If I'm picking, buy my brand. If you like,
I'm hoping they pick Rambo, but I'm not going to leave it to that. They can pick whoever they want, and I'll send them a bag of whoever's. Yeah, so that's the idea. I think it's a good promotion so that more people try it. We get to talk about it, and we get to give something fun away. Gives everybody a reason to hang out till the end. But who do you got, Beer?
Well, I hate to say it, but Marcus Free finished a close second, and I'm sorry to have to say that. My winner is a guy that almost had a perfect name. It should have been Patrick O'Kekistan, like he was Irish.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it reminds me of my favorite short Irish joke. Did you hear about the 2 gay Irishmen? Their names were Patrick Fitzgerald and Gerald Fitzpatrick. So, I'm going to go with a Patrick of Kekistan, because the Kekistan made me keck a little bit. And he's been posting and throughout the day with the chat. So that's my pick. But everybody else, thanks for playing along. He goes, laugh out loud. I am Irish. Well, you don't have to tell me the second part. Just not that there's anything wrong with that.
All right. So Patrick of Kekistan, I did see you were here the whole show.
Yep.
And, make sure you get a hold of me right after the show, because I want to buy my own. And I didn't do that yesterday because I didn't get a response back right away from Amex or Gloria. So I'm hoping to get with Gloria today and you, and I will put an order in and I will send it right off to you, as long as you're willing to give me an address to send it to in a private setting, obviously a back channel.
If you guys DM me, I'll give him my address, and then I'll just tell you how good the coffee is when he accidentally. Right. For any of you that ever want to DM me or even have a chat, you can find me on X as @ScottZPatriot. And you can also find me on Truth as @Scott Zimmerman. Clearly, I'm not afraid to dox myself. So
Well, and I was going to go around the room. You already jumped ahead. Scott, do you want to tell them one more time about the website, and then we'll get the other two guys here too.
Yes. Magazine.us is not a typical website. It is a maze where you can send your loved ones who are waking up. And so instead of just trying to shove a red pill down their throat, when they ask you a question about 9/11 or open borders or inflation or vaxes, instead of saying, well, I already know everything about that, just say, why don't you go to this website, pick your category. And when they click that category, they're going to see a myriad of shows, podcasts, and Substacks where they can educate themselves about that topic. But the beauty of it is when they go down that one leg of the maze, everything starts intersecting. So, for example, if they're waking up to 9/11, they may find a show where I interviewed Richard Gage from Architects and Engineers of 9/11 Truth, and he does a show with me about how COVID and 9/11 were sold to us the exact same way using 13 steps of propaganda. Now they're waking up not only to 9/11, but they're waking up to the reality of COVID, but they don't have to do it in front of somebody else who's then pushing them. It's just a place where people can wake themselves up. So as my loved ones are waking up, I just play dumb and I go to this website and poke around, and then let's talk in a week. So that's the purpose of the website. It's to take all of that pressure off of these awkward conversations that can and sometimes do damage relationships. So that's what the site is there for. It's only been up for 3 weeks. The traffic is insane, and we're just getting started. Thank you for allowing me to do that, Joe.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing it. I hope that we can make the Rambo and Frens thing part of it. So, Vigilant, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, your handles and stuff, anything you got going on?
I don't have anything going on as far as anything other than my presence on X. I'm really just a conduit. I'm a reposter of many people that are friends of mine on X, and I might often comment, and that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I want to say thank you publicly because I notice when I do get to spend time on X, you are always on there, pushing stuff out, sharing everybody's stuff, and I know you do that for me, and I am super grateful for that. Thank you.
Yep, we appreciate what you do, and you've been a breath of fresh air in this entire process. Really, I mean,
I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to say it and I forgot. So for those of us who've been down the rabbit hole for 6 years plus, to see somebody relatively new like Joe Rambo come in, just literally both guns blazing into the movement, he has been a huge morale boost for us when we needed it the most. And he's got takes on things and angles on things we hadn't yet considered. Joe, I can't literally thank you enough on behalf of the OG Anons of what a great leader you've become with us and for us. And I just hope God continues to push you from behind because clearly what you're doing is important.
Guys, you have no idea. Almost like I gotta like look away and think about something else because I get all emotional. That means the world to me, seriously.
And I'd like to thank Yale for telling his story. I've seen the pictures, but I never heard the story before, not in that amount of detail, and I really love that story.
That'll teach you to miss one of my Friday night Zooms because he spent an hour and we got all of it.
Yeah, I know. See, Scott, that's the problem with Friday night is I've had my fill of you during the week.
Yeah, I know. That's a two-way street.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. Yale, do you want to take a turn, buddy? Let everybody know your handles, where you're at on all your social media platforms, and if you got anything coming up.
Yeah, no, well, I think it's awesome that Vigilant got something out of my spiel today. So that, I guess maybe we could, if it inspires or does anything for these great folks, then maybe we should go over it again because that was and show some clips. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and to jump on too, I mean, Joe, you're at the right time. Right place at the right time, just where you need to be. And I wouldn't call it handing off the baton because everybody's continuing to do great work, but there are groups of people that are just that you're inspiring and that you just click with. And I think it's hugely important. And obviously there's a great response for a reason, and the vibes are great. So yeah, kudos to you, and God bless you. On Truth, where you can find some of my pinned gay poetry, they only let you pin a few of them on there. I'm at Yale PHD, and actually when I went back on Twitter to use the Yale PHD handle, somebody had already taken it. Some chick Betsy that is like a tree hugger. So I had to go with the real Yale PHD, which sounds even more pretentious. But those are my handles there. Yeah, on X, I'm still mostly kind of just reposting and supporting others. And
we'll talk offline, Yale, but I'm the one who used the name Betsy so I could snag it anonymously. If you want to buy it back, let's talk.
Fool me once.
Joe, one last thing. If any of you listening or watching knows of a great content provider, a great digger, and you want me to post their stuff for free at Magazine, have them get in touch with me. My email is magazine, MAGASCENE @proton.me. Send me their information and I'll reach out to them, and I'll either get them on my show and or begin posting their content on our site. And thanks in advance for considering that.
Did you ever talk to Space Shot?
Yeah, he's been a little busy. If you want to poke him a little bit for me, that would be great.
Yeah, I love that dude. I love it. That's who I thought of right away when I looked at the list of people that are already on there. Most of them, it would be who I would suggest, and Space Shot was the only one I could think of right away that should be added for sure.
Maybe you.
I'll text him. Well, yeah, hopefully. I was kind of already considered when I made that thought process, but yeah, I would absolutely be honored if we could figure that out.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The 5 greatest words that were ever dropped, or the 5 I've hung on to. And every time I feel a little depressed or black pilly, I just remember 5 words. Read the Bible. God wins.
Boom.
Amen.
That's a great way to here. So here we go, guys. I'm gonna last time, if you could hit that thumbs up, like the show, share it out. I am absolutely honored to have been able to sit and hang out with the 3 of you live on the show. I can't wait for more Friday night Zooms and to hang out with you guys more. Hopefully we can do this again. All 3 of you, just like everyone else in the show, has an open door policy. If you ever have something you want to talk about, I'm building this platform. My intention is that it's the movement's platform. So this goes for anybody. If you have something interesting or something pertinent or important to the movement and you want to talk about it, just get a hold of me. We will try to figure it out. I can't promise everybody, but I promise you that I will try my hardest. I plan on having people on here coming up soon that do not agree with me at all, because sometimes when the conversation is respectful and it goes far enough, I think that those types of conversations could be good for the movement. So as long as you're not, attacking me because and fighting and calling names, even if you disagree with me, if the conversation can help the movement, I don't mind disagreeing as long as it's done respectfully and there's an ultimate goal in mind. So I think some of those shows coming up are going to be a lot of fun. But thank you again, guys, very, very much for coming on. I'm going to throw up here. This is We Got Your 6. You will see tons of faces in this video that are in this movement. Pepe Deluxe really made me smile. I love that dude. He'll be on here soon too. Enjoy this if you haven't heard it before. If you have, I still highly suggest listening to it through. Hopefully YouTube lets me fly on this one, but I'm just going to go for it. Thanks again, guys. I love you.
Thanks, friend.
All right. See you. Let's go.
You guys know what this represents? We'll find out.
Feel the fire, gonna see it coming down. Feel the thunder and lightning crashing all around. Yeah, and I know, and I know, and I know, and I know, yes I know, storm's coming. I got this feeling like nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop what's coming. ready to finish what we started? You didn't think this was just a catchphrase, did you? Just turn on the news. Bunkers and tunnels and labs, all to be had. Nothing can stop what is coming. Let's go! Don't sweat, Camilla and Joe. Just sit right back and enjoy the show. Deep State don't know which way to turn. They're all on the run. Man, is this fun! Nothing can stop what is coming.
Hear that freight train going 1,000 miles an hour. Feel the trembling. I'm more finished counting down. Yeah, and I know, and I know, and I know, and I know, I know nothing can stop what is coming down. Oh, 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 I got this feeling like nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing, nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming down.
Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop what is coming.
Digital soldiers at the ready, strapped with the armor of God. Dig deep into your faith and stand steady. Nothing can stop what is coming. Sometimes you need to walk through the darkness before you see the light. Do not panic. Patriots around the world are in control of this fight. Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop what's coming.
Can you see it? Gavel's gonna be coming down. Can you hear it? The millstones that they're grinding out. Yeah, and I know, and I know, and I know, and I know, I know nothing can stop what is coming down. Oh, 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 I got this feeling like nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing, nothing, nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming down. Nothing, nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what's coming.
defend this great land. Blue check losers can all pound sand. The time is here. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. We will smoke them all out. They are living in fear. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing.
Nothing can stop what is coming.
$50, $40, $30, $20, $10.